Hi guys, and welcome to today's tutorial. In today's lesson we're going to look at the tertiary economic activities, and we're going to look at positive and negative impacts of tourism. Okay, so we're going to look at some of the positive and negative impacts of tourism. But before we do that, I just want to maybe explain to first of all, what are tourists attracted to? Okay, and tourists are usually attracted to the three kind of biggest things is weather. So they're attracted to the weather, whether that be sun or nice sunshine or beaches, or whether it be like kind of snow for skiing. They are attracted to the weather. That's one of the biggest things. The second thing is usually when there's a large selection of accommodation, and the third thing is how easy accessible it is. And if it's easy to access, if it's very accessible, well then that makes it a popular destination. Okay, so we're going to look at positive impacts of tourism. So we look at positive impacts. And the first positive impact that tourism brings to the country is it helps the economy grow. So economy growth. And it helps the economy to grow because tourism makes large contributions to many national economies because it brings in foreign currency. The second positive impact of tourism is employment. So employment. So because many people will come to the country, this will provide many jobs for people in that country. It will employ people directly in the tourist trade and indirectly in other service areas. The third reason, or the third positive impact, is increasing the standards of living. So increasing the standard of living within that country. So because many tourists visit that area, what happened then is the government will then have more money to improve facilities and to cater for the tourists. So therefore they'll build better infrastructure, better roads, more hotels, better communications, provide Wi-Fi and so on, and this will all be able to be used by the locals. The fourth positive impact of tourism is migration. So migration. So because many tourists come to that area, what will happen then is migration will be less. So people won't migrate out of that area, as people will be able to stay in the area that they're born in, where they're born and where they're from, and they won't have to migrate to other big cities or big areas or other countries looking for work, because they'll be able to actually get employment in that region where they're actually from, because many tourists visit the area and they are to get a job in the tourism trade. The fifth positive impact is the increase in foreign currency. Okay, so what actually happens here is, because many tourists come into the region, into the country, they will bring foreign currency, and this leads to a lot more foreign currency coming into the country. People will spend the money there, and it will actually help their balance of payments, because they will have a lot more money staying within the country and not leaving the country, and this is better for the economy when there's more money coming into the country than going out of the country. Okay, so there we go. There are 5 positive impacts of tourism. We're now going to look at some of the negative impacts of tourism. So, negative impacts of tourism. Okay, so the first negative impact of tourism is crime. So usually what happens is, when you get a lot of tourists visiting an area, this leads to usually it leads to an increase in crime and disturbances. It's because there's a lot more money, there's rich people coming into that area, and people will look to be opportunists, looking to maybe take advantage of that wealth and commit some crimes. So usually crime will increase. The second negative impact is buildings. And what I mean by buildings is regions can earn so much money from tourism that the government sometimes approve plans without considering the impact. So what they do is they just build lots and lots of buildings, such as hotels, to cater for all these tourists, because the economy is making quite a large amount of money from the tourists, and they do this without considering the consequences, and this can lead to some problems in the future, to wildlife, to the local people. So this can have a big impact on the locals in the future. The third negative impact I'm going to put down is numbers. Sometimes an area can become so popular that too many tourists actually visit the area, and what happens then is it can actually destroy the whole appeal of the area. And this has happened to many places, and some places can be like a place that can be like this is like some parts of Spain, where it became a really popular tourist destination. And what actually happened is the whole attraction to start was the sandy beaches and the warm weather. And if too many people go onto the beaches and people litter the beaches and it's not cleaned properly, then what happens is the whole point and the whole attraction of that area was the beach, and now it's ruined, it's destroyed because of tourists. So this can be a negative impact. The fourth reason is pollution, and pollution is a huge problem. So we can have for the three types of pollution: the air, noise, and visual pollution. And when you've got more people coming into an area, this is obviously going to lead to increased levels of pollution. The fifth negative impact is land value. So land value. So because the area is a popular tourist destination, increases in the area attracts tourists, and then what happens is this encourages farmers to sell their land, because they can maybe achieve higher price for their land, because people property investors will want to build a block of apartments or flats or holiday homes to cater for all these tourists. So this can lead to large numbers of farmers selling their land because they can get a much higher price. And then this leads to a lot less greenery. It leads to a lot more buildings. And another problem with land value is sometimes houses in the area, the prices of the houses can be inflated because of the increased numbers of tourists. And this can actually lead to the locals not being able to purchase a house in that area, because maybe the standard, the prices, the wages that they're on can be considerably lower than, say, people who live in, say, Ireland or maybe the UK. So then they're not able to compete in the housing market. And this is a huge problem, because some areas, particularly in Spain, huge property investors are buying huge blocks of land and redeveloping them into houses and apartments. They're buying houses in the local area, and what's happened is people are only living in them for maybe the seasonal times, maybe from in the summer months when people are visiting the area, and then for the other half of the year there's nobody living in those homes, and that can lead to a lot of community disruption, where there's no kind of sense of community in that area anymore, in that town, because the houses and most of the villages is only half populated during the winter months, because people can't afford to live there, and people from outside in other countries that are rich have purchased the homes, and then they obviously rent them out for high prices during the summer to the tourists. Another problem, another negative impact is seasonal employment. So we talked about one of the good impacts was employment, which is a fantastic thing. But one of the things in some areas is that the employment might only be seasonal. So for an example, maybe in Switzerland or France or in Italy, if you're looking at like around the Alps and those little villages, people might only actually work during the skiing season, because that's when people, their job might be a ski instructor, and they'll only have the job for when the ski season is on. So this is a big problem with popular like tourist destinations. Sometimes the employment is only seasonal. And the last one that I'm going to put down for a negative impact is that some of the hotels are foreign owned. And what I mean by foreign owned is people that are not actually from that area or not from that country actually own the hotels. So then what actually happens is the profits aren't being kept within that country. So for example, if we use Spain again, if the hotel is owned by a big American businessman, what's going to happen is all the money is going to go back into his bank account in the US. So the money is not going to stay in Spain and improve their economy. It's going to actually go back into America, into the US, and improve the US's economy. So this could be a huge problem with foreign-owned hotels. So that's it for today's tutorial. We looked at the positive and negative impacts of tourism. And it's really, really important that you understand some of the positive impacts of tourism and some of the negative impacts of tourism. If you like some more videos, please check out our website, examvision.ie. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at examvision for you.